In the summer of 1978, Willow Creek, Nebraska was where the horizon stretched endlessly, cornfields swaying under a sky so wide it felt like it could swallow you whole. I was Rachel Harper, 20 years old, born and raised in this speck of a town where everyone knew your business before you did. My dad, Tom Harper, was the mayor, a title that sounded grander than it was just a man settling disputes over fence lines and organizing the county fair. My mom had passed when I was 10, leaving me her Omaha roots and a knack for understanding city slang that folks here didn't expect from a farm girl. Life was simple. I helped at the general store, dreamed of dancing on a big stage someday, and figured love was something you read about in books. Then came Jason Carter, a 22-year-old city boy from Omaha assigned to Willow Creek through a post-Vietnam agricultural aid program. The government sent young folks like him to rural towns to boost farming after the war drained our workforce. Jason wasn't like the local boys who were all rough hands and pickup trucks. He had a poet's soul, dark curls, and eyes that sparkled when he smiled. 2 years ago in '76, he'd strolled into the store, bought a soda, and handed me a folded note instead of change. It was a poem scribbled in blue ink to Rachel, whose laugh lights up this dusty town. I blushed thinking it was a joke, but he kept at it. Every week, a new poem slipped under my door, verses about fireflies, the Platte River, or how my hair caught the sunset. He'd show up after his fieldwork, bone-tired but grinning, and we'd drive his beat-up Chevy to Willow Creek's edge, where the stars felt close enough to touch. He'd catch fireflies in mason jars, their glow flickering, as we lay on a blanket talking about dreams. One day, Rachel, he'd say, "I'll take you to Omaha, maybe even New York. You'll dance, and I'll write." His words painted a future I could almost taste. When the aid program sent him stipends, cash for farm tools, he'd press crumpled bills into my hands. For you, he'd insist even when I pushed them back. If I refused, I'd find the money in my mailbox tucked inside another poem the next day. His stubbornness was charming, like he saw something in me I hadn't yet found. But Jason wasn't just romantic gestures. He worked hard helping farmers with new irrigation tricks, earning their respect. At town potlucks, he'd strum a guitar, singing folk tunes like Dylan's, his voice soft but sure. The older folks adored him, the girls my age whispered jealously. Hannah Brooks, my best friend since grade school, teased Rachel, saying he's too good to be true. Watch out. But I laughed her off. Jason made me feel seen, like I wasn't just the mayor's daughter or a girl stuck in Willow Creek forever. He'd hold my hand and say, "You're different, Rachel. You've got this fire, this stubborn spark that pulls me in." I believed him heart and soul. That summer, though, everything shifted. Emily Larson arrived, another Omaha volunteer with sharp cheekbones and city confidence. She wore bell-bottoms and talked fast, like she belonged in a disco, not a cornfield. I noticed Jason's eyes linger on her, his laugh a little louder when she was near. One evening at the town's old barn dance, I overheard them by the hay bales, speaking in Omaha slang, quick-clipped words they thought I wouldn't catch. "Why are you with a farm girl like her?" Emily asked, voice sharp. Jason chuckled, low and casual. "Rachel's sweet, but it's not real. Her dad's the mayor, M. He can pull strings to get me back to the city. You know I'm not staying in this nowhere town." My stomach twisted. My mom, born in Omaha, had taught me that slang as a kid, reading me bedtime stories in her city lilt. I understood every word. Jason wasn't in love. He was playing a game using my dad's influence to escape Willow Creek. Emily's laugh cut deeper. "You forgot me for her. She's pretty sure, but she's no city girl." Jason's reply was cold. "Relax, Em. You're my real deal. Childhood sweethearts, right? I'll get us both out." I slipped away, heart pounding, telling myself it was a misunderstanding, but doubt crept in like a crack in a dam. I kept quiet, watching Jason closer. He still brought me poems, still drove me to our stargazing spot, but his smiles felt rehearsed now, his words hollow. I wanted to confront him, but fear held me back. What if I was wrong? What if I lost him? My dreams of dancing and of leaving Willow Creek felt tied to him. So I stayed silent, clinging to the boy I thought I knew, while Emily's shadow loomed larger. By the way, if this story's hitting you as hard as it hit me, living it, do me a favor, hit that like button, drop a comment about what you'd do in my shoes, and subscribe to this channel. I'm sharing my heart here, and your support keeps these stories coming. Let's keep Willow Creek's secrets alive together. Labor Day in Willow Creek was the town's big hurrah booth, selling cornbread kids chasing balloons and a livestock show that drew folks from 3 counties. I stood by the cattle pens wearing my best sundress, hoping to steal a moment with Jason. He'd been distant all week, always busy with Emily's volunteer projects. The air smelled of hay and barbecue, but my nerves buzzed. I wanted to ask him about that barn dance conversation to hear him deny it, but his arm around Emily at the pie stall stopped me cold. The livestock show was in full swing when chaos broke out. A massive bull, usually docile, went berserk, eyes wild, hooves tearing up the dirt. Later, the vet found traces of amphetamines in its system. Someone had drugged it. The crowd scattered, screaming as the bull charged. I froze, heart hammering as it barreled toward me. Jason was nearby talking to Emily. In a split second, he shoved me hard to the ground, my ankle twisting under me, and sprinted to shield Emily with his body. Instead, the bull's horns caught me, goring my side and snapping both legs like dry twigs. Pain exploded, blood pooling in my mouth as I collapsed in the dust. Through blurry eyes, I saw Jason cradling Emily, her face pale but unharmed. Men from the town wrestled the bull down, and paramedics rushed me to Willow Creek's small hospital. My legs were mangled bones jutting wrong, and every breath burned. Hannah Brooks and Jenny Walsh. My ride-or-die friends hovered at my bedside, their faces tight with rage. With her fiery red hair and sharper temper, Hannah gripped my hand. "That bastard chose her over you, Rachel. He let you get mauled." Jenny, always practical, added that I heard them at the dance. "He's been lying to you using your dad's pull. They're childhood sweethearts planning to ditch you." Their words confirmed what I'd overheard, each one a knife twist. My mom's Omaha slang lessons let me decode Jason's betrayal. He'd never loved me, just my dad's title. The pain wasn't just physical. My heart, so full of Jason's poems and promises, shattered like glass. I'd dreamed of dancing on stages in Chicago or New York, maybe with him cheering me on. Now lying broken in a hospital bed, those dreams felt as crushed as my legs. The doctor, a gruff man named Dr. Ellis, examined me, his frown deepening. "You've got internal bleeding from the shock, Rachel. We need surgery now or you'll lose all mobility in those legs." I nodded, barely processing, my mind replaying Jason's shove, his choice to save Emily. Hannah whispered, "You're stronger than this. Don't let him break you." But I felt like I was already in pieces. I remembered the weeks before when I'd started noticing Emily's influence. She'd joined Jason's irrigation projects, always laughing too loudly, touching his arm too long. I'd told myself it was nothing, that his firefly jars and late-night drives meant he was mine. But that barn dance conversation kept echoing, "She's sweet, but her dad's the mayor." I'd stayed quiet, hoping love would outweigh doubt. Now, with blood staining my hospital gown and my legs useless, I saw the truth. Jason had played me, banking on my naivety and my dad's connections to secure his city escape. Emily wasn't just a rival, she was his past, future, and everything. As nurses prepped me for surgery, I clung to one thought: I had to survive this, not for Jason, but for me. My mom used to say, "Rachel, you've got her stubbornness. Use it." I'd ignored that fire for too long, letting Jason's charm cloud my ambitions. Dance might be out of reach now, but I wasn't done dreaming. Hannah and Jenny sat vigil, their anger fueling my resolve. "He's gonna pay," Jenny muttered, sketching out plans to confront him. I shook my head, voice weak. "Not now. I need to focus on getting through this." The betrayal cut deep, but it was waking something in me, a spark to prove I was more than the farm girl Jason thought I was. The fluorescent lights of Willow Creek's hospital buzzed overhead, casting a sterile glow on my hospital bed. My legs, bandaged and braced, throbbed with a dull, relentless pain, each pulse a reminder of the bull's horns and Jason Carter's betrayal. Blood still lingered in my mouth, a coppery tang from the internal bleeding Dr. Ellis had warned about. The emotional shock made it worse, he said, his voice clipping as he checked my chart. "We need to operate tonight, or those legs won't heal right. You could lose all mobility." I knotted my throat tight, trying to focus on his words instead of the image burned into my mind. Jason shoving me aside to shield Emily Larson, his childhood sweetheart, while I lay broken in the dirt. Hannah Brooks and Jenny Walsh sat beside me, their faces mixed with fury and worry. Hannah's red hair fell in a messy braid, her green eyes blazing. "That jerk left you to die, Rachel," she said, gripping my hand so hard it hurt. "He's been playing you this whole time, cozying up to Emily behind your back." Jenny, her dark ponytail swinging as she paced, added, "I overheard them at the barn dance. He admitted it, using you because your dad is the mayor. He wants a city transfer, nothing else." Their words stung, confirming the Omaha slang I'd decoded weeks ago. Rachel's sweet, but her dad's the mayor. I'm using her to get back to the city. My mom's lessons in that slang taught over bedtime stories had given me the key to Jason's lies. I wasn't just a farm girl to him, I was a stepping stone. The pain in my chest wasn't just from the injury. I'd believed Jason's poems, firefly jars, and promises of a life beyond Willow Creek for 2 years. I'd dreamed of dancing on stages in Chicago, maybe with him by my side, cheering me on. Now those dreams felt like ash. I'd ignored the warning signs, his lingering glances at Emily, his excuses about work because I wanted to believe in us. My mom used to say, "Rachel, you've got my stubbornness. Don't let it blind you." I'd let it blind me too long. As nurses prepped me for surgery, Jason burst through the door, his face flushed with urgency. He said, "Dr. Ellis, Emily Larson is in room 204, barely glancing at me. She sprained her ankle in the stampede. She's auditioning for a dance troupe in Omaha next month. She can't be injured." Dr. Ellis frowned, adjusting his glasses. "Rachel's case is critical. Internal bleeding, fractured femurs. She's a priority." Jason stepped closer, lowering his voice. "My dad, James Carter, is your old med school buddy. He always spoke highly of you. Emily's injury could end her career." "Rachel." He glanced at me, his eyes cold. "She's just a farm girl from Willow Creek. A delay won't change her life. She's not going anywhere." My knuckles whitened, gripping the bedsheet. The room spun, not from pain, but from rage. "I was here first," I said, my voice weak but sharp. Hannah stood, fists clenched. "You're disgusting, Jason. Get out." Jenny joined her, pointing at the door. "You don't get to decide who matters." Jason ignored them, leaning toward Dr. Ellis. "My dad's got connections at Omaha General. I'll see if they're hiring if I get back to the city. You'd love a city gig, right?" Dr. Ellis hesitated, his jaw tight, then sighed and walked out, muttering about checking Emily's chart. Hannah's shout followed him. "You're abandoning her." Jenny grabbed my hand, whispering, "We'll fix this, Rachel, I swear." Alone for a moment, I stared at the ceiling, my heart fracturing. Jason's words, "just a farm girl," echoed my worst fears. I'd always felt like I had to prove I was more than Willow Creek, more than the mayor's daughter. Dance was my way out, my proof. Now with my legs broken and surgery delayed, that dream felt stolen. But something else stirred a stubborn spark, the one Mom always saw in me. I wasn't done yet. When Dad mentioned the reinstated tests, I pulled out the SAT application I'd tucked away months ago. The government was opening college doors again post-Vietnam, and Dad wanted me to aim higher than Willow Creek. I'd ignored it too, caught up in Jason. Not anymore. When Hannah and Jenny returned, I handed them the folded application. "Give this to Dad," I said, my voice steadier. "Tell him I'm fine. Don't say how bad it is. I'll wait for surgery." Hannah's eyes softened. "You're tougher than he deserves." Jenny nodded, her face grim. "We won't let him win." As they left, I lay back, the pain in my legs pulsing in time with my resolve. Jason thought I was nothing without him. I'd prove him wrong, not for him, but for me. The hospital room felt smaller after Dr. Ellis left, the walls closing in as the pain in my legs grew sharper, like knives twisting with every breath. I lay there waiting for surgery, my mind replaying Jason's betrayal, his shove during the stampede, his cold dismissal, "just a farm girl." The words cut deeper than the bull's horns. I'd given him 2 years of my heart, believed his poems about fireflies and forever, and learned I was a pawn in his plan to escape Willow Creek with Emily Larson. My mom's Omaha slang lessons had exposed his lies, but knowing the truth didn't ease the ache. Hannah and Jenny had barely left with my SAT application when Jason slipped back into the room, his boots scuffing the linoleum. His face was a mix of guilt and defiance, like he knew he'd crossed a line but couldn't back down. "Rachel, we need to talk," he said, his voice low, like he was doing me a favor. I stared at him, my hands trembling. "There's nothing to say, Jason. You made your choice." He stepped closer, his dark curls falling over his eyes. "You don't get it. Emily's got a shot at the Omaha dance troupe. Her ankle's sprained, she can't risk that. But you—" He hesitated, then shrugged. "You're tough. You'll be fine, even if the surgery waits a bit." I laughed, a bitter sound that startled us both. "Fine. My legs are shattered, Jason. I'm coughing up blood, and you bribed the doctor to save her first." His jaw tightened. "I'm trying to help us both. My dad's pulling strings to get me into the military academy in Omaha. I can take you with me if I get back to the city. We'll start over." He reached for my hand, but I yanked it away, the movement sending a jolt of pain through my legs. "You think I'm some charity case that I'll follow you after this?" He leaned in, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Rachel, don't be like this. Emily's my past, but she's fragile. She grew up with dreams, big ones. You're different. You're strong made for this town. You don't need the city like she does. His words were a slap, painting me as some sturdy farm girl who didn't dream, didn't hurt. I snapped, "You call Emily's pushiness confident, but when I speak up, I'm too much. It's all your bias, Jason. You never saw me just what I could get you." His eyes flashed with anger and he grabbed my injured leg, squeezing hard. "Please don't compare yourself to her," he hissed. A sharp crack echoed another fracture in my femur, the pain so intense my vision blurred. I screamed, tears spilling despite my fight to hold them back. "It hurts, Jason. Stop." My voice broke barely a whisper. He froze his hand, pulling back as if burned. "I'm sorry," he muttered, his face pale. "I didn't mean. I want you to understand. Emily can't survive out here, but I'll take care of you. We'll go to Omaha together." I glared at him, my body trembling from pain and rage. "You broke my leg worse. You think that's love?" "We're done, Jason. Get out." He stood there, stunned, then scoffed. "You'll change your mind. You need me to get out of this dump." He turned to leave, but paused, his voice softening. "I'm sorry, Rachel. I do care about you. My parents know about us. They disapprove, but I fought for you. Just hold on." He walked out, leaving me slumped against the pillow, my leg dangling like a broken branch. The pain was overwhelming, but my hatred burned hotter. Nurses rushed in, alerted by my scream, their faces grim as they assessed the new fracture. "We're prepping you for surgery now," one said, wheeling me toward the OR. As the ceiling tiles blurred above me, I saw Jason through an open door, gently wiping Emily's brow as she sipped water. My heart shattered completely, but not from love, it was clarity. He'd never been mine. I'd been a fool chasing his promises instead of my path. My mom's voice echoed, "Use your stubbornness, Rachel." I clung to that, vowing to fight for myself. Dad appeared in the OR waiting area, his weathered face etched with worry. He took my hand, his calloused fingers warm. "I heard what happened," he said, voice low. "Jason's no good. I was wrong to trust him." I shook my head, wincing. "It's my fault, Dad. I believed him." His eyes hardened. "No, he used you and he'll pay. But you're going to college. The SATs are your ticket out. Dance might be gone, but you're not." As the anesthesia pulled me under, I held onto his words, a lifeline in the dark. Jason thought he'd broken me. He was wrong. The anesthesia faded, leaving a dull ache in my bones and the sterile scent of Willow Creek's hospital in my nose. My legs, now pinned with metal rods, felt like strangers attached to my body, heavy and foreign. The bull's attack had fractured both femurs, and Jason Carter's cruel squeeze had added a third break, turning a bad injury into a nightmare. I blinked into the dim room, my throat dry, and found Dad at my bedside, his weathered face etched with exhaustion. His flannel shirt was rumpled, his mayor's badge pinned crookedly, a sign he'd been here all night. "Rachel," he said, voice rough, "you're awake, thank God." His hand, calloused from years of fixing fences, gripped mine tightly. "Dad," I croaked, wincing as I shifted. "How bad is it?" He hesitated, his gray eyes clouded. "The surgery went okay, but it was close. The internal bleeding stopped, but your legs, you'll need months of recovery, no dancing, not like before." The words landed like a punch. Dance had been my ticket out of Willow Creek, my dream of stages in Chicago or New York. Jason's betrayal, shoving me into the bull's path, delaying my surgery for Emily Larson, had stolen that. I swallowed hard, fighting the sting in my eyes. "I'm sorry, Dad. I was stupid trusting him." His face darkened, a storm brewing. "No, Rachel. This is on him. I misjudged that boy and I thought he was decent." He leaned closer, voice low. "The vet confirmed the bull was drugged with amphetamines. I'd bet my truck it was Emily, jealous of your dance tryouts for the Omaha troupe. No proof yet, but I'll make sure Jason pays for what he did." His tone carried a quiet menace, the kind that settled disputes in Willow Creek without a fistfight. I nodded, too tired to argue. Jason's words echoed in my mind, just a farm girl. He thought I'd stay broken, tethered to this town. He was wrong. Dad pulled a chair closer, his boots scuffing the linoleum. "Listen, Rachel, the government's bringing back college entrance exams, SATs, now that the war's fading. I talked to the school board. They're offering prep courses. Your dance dreams are gone, but you're smart as hell. Get to college, maybe a teaching program. You're leaving Willow Creek, building something bigger." His words stirred something in me, a spark Mom used to call my stubbornness. I'd ignored it, chasing Jason's promises of city lights no more. I'll do it, I said, my voice steadier. I'll study and take the SATs. He smiled, a rare softness breaking through. That's my girl. Your mom would be proud. He handed me a worn photo from his wallet. Mom laughing in an Omaha park, her dark hair like mine. She was stubborn too, you know. Left the city for me, but never stopped dreaming. You've got her fire. I clutched the photo, my resolve hardening. Jason had used me banking on my dad's mayor status to get back to Omaha. I wouldn't let his betrayal define me. Recovery was grueling. After a week in the hospital, I moved home, and my childhood bedroom is now a makeshift study den. Crutches made every step a battle, and pain flared with every storm that rolled through Nebraska's plains. Mrs. Klein, our neighbor, who ran the diner, brought over casseroles daily, her gray curls bouncing as she fussed. Eat up, Rachel. You need strength to outsmart those city boys. Her kindness and Dad's quiet support kept me grounded. I buried myself in books, algebra, history, English, borrowed from the school library. The SAT prep course was a mimeographed packet, but I devoured it, scribbling notes until my hands cramped. Jason tried to reach me, his voice drifting through my window some nights, calling my name. Rachel, let's talk. I'm sorry. I ignored him, closing the curtains, my focus on the future. Hannah Brooks and Jenny Walsh visited, bringing gossip and encouragement. He's moping around town, Hannah said, her green eyes flashing. Serves him right. Jenny, flipping through my study notes, added, You're gonna crush those exams, Rachel. Show him what a farm girl can do. Their faith fueled me, but I waved off their talk of Jason. He was a ghost I refused to haunt me. I could hobble without crutches by winter, though my legs ached constantly. The pain reminded me of Jason's grip, his dismissal, but it also pushed me harder. I memorized vocabulary under Mom's old quilt, picturing her cheering me on. Dad checked in nightly, quizzing me on math or history, and his pride was evident. You're tougher than I ever was, he said once, voice catching. I smiled, but my heart carried a quiet vow. I'd leave Willow Creek, not for Jason's city dreams, but for mine. The SATs were 6 months away. I'd be ready. Spring 1979 brought green to Willow Creek's fields, but my world was the size of a desk piled with SAT prep books and note cards. My legs still braced, had healed enough for short walks, but the limp was permanent, a scar from the bull and Jason's cruelty. Dance was gone, but college loomed like a new stage, one I'd fight for. I'd spent months studying, turning pain into purpose, driven by Mom's stubborn spark and Dad's belief in me. The SATs, reinstated after Vietnam to rebuild education, were my way out. I wasn't just the mayor's daughter anymore, I was Rachel Harper building her future. The test was held in a county school an hour away, a gray building smelling of chalk and nerves. Dad drove me his old Ford, rattling along dirt roads. You've got this, he said, squeezing my shoulder. I nodded, clutching my pencils, my stomach a knot of fear and hope. The exam room was packed, kids from farms, towns, even a few city volunteers like Jason. I didn't look for him, didn't want his shadow in my head. For 4 hours, I poured everything into those bubbles, my hand steady despite the ache in my legs. When it was over, I limped out, exhausted but alive, like I'd run a marathon. Weeks later, the acceptance letter came from Lincoln University, a business program. I stared at the envelope, tears pricking, but not falling. Dad hugged me, his laugh booming. You did it, Rachel. You're getting out. I packed my bags, and my bedroom was now a relic of a girl who'd loved too unquestioningly. Willow Creek felt smaller, its fields no longer a cage but a place I'd outgrown. Before leaving, I agreed to attend a friend's engagement party at the town hall, a last goodbye to my old life. Mrs. Klein insisted, her diner-closed smile warm. You're our pride, Rachel. Celebrate. The hall was strung with fairy lights, tables laden with potluck dishes, corn casserole, apple pie. I wore a simple blue dress, my limp hidden by the crowd's chatter. Then I saw them, Jason and Emily, sitting close, her hand on his arm. Emily's eyes locked on mine, cold and sharp, before she grabbed a chicken bone from her plate. Look, Jason, she roared, one leg short like a little crutch. She laughed, a cruel edge to it, and the room quieted. My face burned, but I refused to shrink. I grabbed my glass, splashing lemonade in her face. This is a party, Emily, not your stage. Keep your venom to yourself. The crowd murmured, some chuckling, others glaring at her. Jason's face darkened, but he said nothing. Then Dad walked in, flanked by Colonel Hayes, a family friend from the National Guard. Emily, oblivious, scoffed at Dad. What's a small-town mayor gonna do? I'm leaving for Omaha soon, don't need your kind. Colonel Hayes raised an eyebrow. Respect's not optional, miss. Tom Harper's got more pull than you think. Emily smirked undeterred, but Jason tugged her arm, his expression uneasy. I'd had enough. I limped to their table, pulling Jason's old gifts from my bag, a woven bracelet, a mason jar that once held fireflies. I dropped them at his feet, the glass clinking on the floor. Take your lies back, I said, voice steady. I'm done with you. Emily lunged, slapping my face, her nails stinging. You're nothing, farm girl, she hissed. I slapped her back hard, my hand shaking with years of pent-up rage. Call me that again, and you'll regret it. The crowd gasped, but Dad stepped forward, his voice calm, but iron. Enough. Rachel's leaving for Lincoln tomorrow. You two sort yourselves out. I turned to Mrs. Klein, thanking her for the invite, and walked out head high despite the limp. Jason chased after me, his voice desperate. Rachel, wait. I'm sorry about everything. Come with me to Omaha. I'll ditch Emily. I spun, my eyes cold. You broke my leg, Jason. You broke my trust. You think I'd follow you now? He flinched, reaching for me, but I stepped back. We're done. Forever. I walked away, the night air cool on my stinging cheek. At home, I packed the last of my things, Mom's photo tucked in my suitcase. Lincoln was waiting. I was ready. The train to Lincoln University rattled through Nebraska's golden fields, carrying me away from Willow Creek's dust and Jason Carter's betrayal. It was fall 1979, and at 21 I was starting fresh, my suitcase packed with Mom's photo SAT prep books and a limp that marked my survival. The bull's attack had stolen my dance dreams, and Jason's cruelty, shoving me into its path, breaking my leg worse in the hospital, had shattered my trust. But I wasn't hurt. Mom's stubborn spark, as Dad called it, burned brighter now, fueled by my acceptance into Lincoln's business program. Willow Creek was behind me. Lincoln was my stage. The campus buzzed with energy, brick buildings draped in ivy, students in bell-bottoms hauling textbooks, the air thick with cigarette smoke and ambition. America was shifting post-Vietnam, with talk of deregulation and tech startups filtering through dorm chatter. I felt alive, like I'd shed a skin. At first-year orientation, I met Phoebe Foster, a business major with a bold laugh and a pixie cut, her eyes sharp with city grit. Phoebe, born and raised in Lincoln, she said, shaking my hand firmly. You're Rachel Harper. From some farm town, I smiled, leaning on my cane. Willow Creek. Not quite a farm girl, but close. Phoebe's cousin Felix, a lanky computer science major with a shy grin, trailed behind, lugging her bags. Felix Foster, he mumbled, adjusting his glasses. Also Lincoln, but we both did rural volunteer stints. They'd spent a year in towns like mine teaching farmers about crop rotation post-Vietnam. Challenging work, Phoebe said, nudging me. Bet you've got stories. I nodded, keeping Jason's name locked away. Some worth forgetting. Their easy warmth felt like a lifeline, pulling me into a world where I wasn't defined by my limp or past. Phoebe and I became dorm mates, and our room was full of textbooks and coffee mugs. She was relentless, turning study sessions into competitions. I could memorize more econ terms by midnight. She'd challenge, and her grin was wicked. I matched her, my stubbornness kicking in. We traded flashcards, blasting English language tapes on her clunky cassette player, laughing when we mispronounced entrepreneur. Felix tagged along, fetching snacks or fixing our finicky desk lamp, his quiet presence steadying us. You're gonna run a company someday, Rachel, he said, once, his voice soft but sure. I blushed, brushing it off, but his belief stuck with me. Our rivalry spread through the dorm, inspiring other girls to join our late-night study groups. We took over the English corner, reciting vocab under fluorescent lights, our voices echoing down the hall. I shared Mom's old trick, writing words on note cards to pin around the room, while Phoebe brought tapes from her dad's radio shop. It wasn't just about passing classes, but proving we belonged. My limp slowed me down, but I pushed through, refusing to let pain win. Phoebe noticed, never pitying, but challenging me harder. You're tougher than you look, farm girl, she teased. I shot back. Call me that again, and I'll outscore you on the following quiz. Classes were a revelation. Business 101 introduced supply chains and markets ideas that felt like keys to a bigger world. I scribbled notes furiously, picturing a life beyond Willow Creek's general store. My professor, Dr. Lang, a wiry man passionate about startups, praised my essays. You've got a knack for strategy, Rachel, he said. I clung to that building confidence with every A. Felix, meanwhile, tinkered with early computers in the lab, explaining binary code over cafeteria pizza. His patience, his quiet way of listening made me feel seen, not as a victim, but as me. By semester's end, I wasn't the naive girl who'd loved Jason. I was Rachel Harper, a business major with friends who pushed me and a future I could shape. The 1980s were dawning, full of promise. Reagan's policies, tech booms, a country stretching towards something new. I wanted to be part of it. As snow dusted Lincoln's campus, I looked out my dorm window, Mom's photo on my desk. I'm doing it, I whispered. Jason's shadow was fading, but I wasn't ready for it to return. New Year's Eve 1979 found me Phoebe and Felix bundled in coats trudging through Lincoln's snowy streets to a diner called Rosie's, its neon sign glowing against the dusk. The city sparkled alive with talk of the 1980s, a decade of big hair, bigger dreams, and no more gas shortages. We'd aced our fall finals, and Phoebe insisted on celebrating with greasy burgers and hot cocoa. To new beginnings, she toasted, clinking her mug against mine. Felix grinned, his glasses fogging from the diner's warmth. To surviving econ, he added. I laughed, feeling lighter than I had in years. Willow Creek is a distant memory. The diner was packed, servers weaving through tables, jukebox playing Springsteen. Phoebe was mid-story about her rural stint when I felt a prickle on my neck like someone was watching. I glanced up and froze. Jason Carter stood by the door, his once handsome face gaunt, his curls matted under a worn cap. He looked older, beaten down, nothing like the poet who'd charmed me with firefly jars. His eyes locked on mine, hesitant but pleading. My stomach churned. Phoebe followed my gaze, her smile fading. "Who's that creep?" she whispered. I swallowed, voice low. "Just a guy from Willow Creek. Old volunteer." Felix's jaw tightened, sensing my unease. "Want me to handle it?" I shook my head, standing my cane, tapping the floor. "I've got this. Eat, I'll be back." Phoebe grabbed my arm. "Please stay by the window where we can see you. Wave if he tries anything." I nodded, her protectiveness grounding me. I jerked my chin toward the door, signaling Jason to step outside. The cold bit my face as I followed, my breath puffing in the air. I rubbed my hands for warmth, my coat forgotten inside. "Say what you came to say." I told him, voice flat. Jason shifted his boots, crunching snow. "Rachel, I messed up. I'm sorry about the bull, the hospital, everything." His voice cracked, but I didn't soften. "You shoved me into that bull's path. You broke my leg worse, Jason, and left me for Emily." He flinched, his shoulders slumping. "I was wrong. Emily, she's a mess. She tanked her dance troupe audition and got us both kicked from the volunteer program. I lost my military academy spot. I'm stuck, Rachel." His eyes searched mine, desperate. "Marry me. Your dad's connections, your new city status, Lincoln could get me to Omaha. We could start over." I laughed, sharp and cold, the sound cutting through the snow. "You think I'd drag you along after what you did? You used me, Jason. I heard you and Emily at the barn dance plotting in Omaha slang, thinking I was clueless." His face paled. "You understood us." I nodded, stepping closer. "Mom was from Omaha. I knew every word. You called me a means to an end, a farm girl to exploit." His mouth opened, then closed, guilt etching his face. "I fell for you, Rachel, I swear. I just got caught up in Emily's dreams." "You broke my leg," I said, my voice like ice. "You told the doctor it didn't matter. You don't get to beg now." He reached for my arm, but Felix burst out of the diner, shoving him back. "Back off, punk." Felix growled, his lanky frame tense. Jason stumbled, his eyes flashing with shame and anger. "So you've got a city boy now," he spat. "No wonder you're too good for me." Felix stepped forward, fists clenched. "I saw guys like you in the volunteer program using honest girls, tossing them aside. You're pathetic." I grabbed Felix's arm, pulling him back. "He's not worth it." Turning to Jason, I leaned on my cane, my voice steady. "You thought I was nothing without you. Look at me now. Lincoln University, a future you can't touch. Get out of my sight, Jason. Live the misery you earned." He stood there defeated, his thin frame shaking in the snow. Without a word, he turned and shuffled away, his shadow fading under the streetlights. I exhaled, the weight of him lifting, but not gone. Back inside, Phoebe draped her coat over my shoulders, her eyes fierce. "You okay?" I nodded, managing a smile. "Better now." Felix sat quietly, his concern unspoken but clear. I saw it then, how he'd always been there, fixing lamps, carrying my books, now shielding me. It stirred something, a warmth I wasn't ready to name. As we toasted to the 1980s, I felt it. I was free, not just from Jason, but from the girl who'd let him define her. Lincoln was my beginning, and I wasn't looking back. By spring 1982, I'd traded Lincoln University's ivy-covered halls for the buzzing sprawl of Silicon Valley, California. At 24, I was a business graduate, my limp a constant reminder of Willow Creek's scars, Jason Carter's betrayal, the bull's horns, a broken leg worsened by his cruelty. But Lincoln had forged me anew with Phoebe Foster's fierce friendship and Felix Foster's quiet support fueling my ambition. The three of us, Phoebe, Felix, and I, had moved west chasing the tech boom that was turning dusty lots into startup hubs. America was electric with Reagan's deregulation, Apple's rise, and innovation dreams. I wanted a piece of it not as the farm girl Jason dismissed, but as Rachel Harper, builder of something real. We started small, pooling our savings to sell electronics at flea markets along San Jose's sun-baked streets. With her sharp business instincts, Phoebe haggled with suppliers, her pixie cut now streaked with blonde from the California sun. Ever the tech nerd, Felix fixed busted radios and explained circuit boards to skeptical buyers, his shy grin winning them over. I handled numbers, tracking every dime in a battered notebook, and my business classes came alive in the hustle. My limp slowed, but I pushed through, refusing to be the weak link. Phoebe said one night that we're a team counting our earnings over tacos. But you, Rachel, you've got the vision. I smiled, Mom's stubborn spark burning in my chest. Flea markets were tough, long hours, sunburn, and shady dealers, but we learned fast. I studied customers, noting what sold: transistors, early computer parts, anything feeding the tech craze. Phoebe and I took night classes at a community college, learning supply chain tricks, while Felix tinkered with microchips in his garage setup. We dreamed of more than stalls, but factories cost fortunes we didn't have. Patience, Felix said, his voice steady. We'll get there. His quiet faith always there, since Lincoln warmed me in ways I wasn't ready to name. One sweltering June day, everything shifted. Felix spotted a pickpocket snatching a leather satchel from a British man at our stall. Without hesitation, he sprinted after the thief, tackling him to the ground and retrieving the bag. Tom Reed, a wiry entrepreneur in a linen suit, thanked us profusely. He said, "I'm scouting suppliers for my startup," eyeing our modest setup. "You lot know electronics?" My heart raced. This was it, a chance. I said, "We can source anything you need." My voice bolder than I felt. "Circuit boards, wiring, you name it." Phoebe shot me a look. "We don't have a factory," but backed me up. "Quality guaranteed," she added. Felix nodded, his glasses glinting. Tom raised an eyebrow. "No factory then, risky pitch." I swallowed, Mom's stubbornness kicking in. "Give us a week. We'll show you." We had $5,000 saved, barely enough for rent, let alone a factory. For days, we scoured Silicon Valley, knocking on the doors of rundown warehouses. Prices were astronomical, and startup fever-driven costs were sky-high. Desperate, we found a retiring tailor, Mr. Chen, selling his small workshop, sewing machines, space, and a valid manufacturing license. It was perfect, but $10,000 more than we had. Phoebe paced, muttering, "We're crazy." Felix, calm as ever, said, "It's now or never." I took the lead, and my business classes guided me. We secured a bank loan, hearts pounding as we signed, betting everything on this gamble. We bought the workshop, retooling it for electronics, hiring a dozen women workers, fast, reliable, with clean records to assemble circuit boards. Tom visited a week later, his skepticism fading as he toured our setup. "Small but solid," he said, impressed by our precision. Felix's honest charm sealed it. Tom placed a trial order for 1,000 circuit boards for his startup's computers. We worked nights, my limp aching as I checked quality, Phoebe training workers, Felix troubleshooting machines. We lost money on that first order, pouring every cent into perfection, but Tom returned with more. By fall, we were his leading supplier, churning out boards for Silicon Valley's growing tech scene. Our workshop hummed, and I felt it, a future taking shape, one I'd built, not borrowed from Jason's lies. In 1985, our workshop had grown into a factory. 3 years later, its concrete walls vibrating with the hum of machines and ambition. At 27, I was no longer the Willow Creek girl Jason had called just a farm girl. I was Rachel Harper, co-owner of Harper-Foster Electronics, managing finances, with a precision honed at Lincoln University. Phoebe handled HR, her bold energy keeping our 50 workers, primarily women, chosen for their skill and grit, in line. Felix charmed clients, his computer science knack turning leads into contracts. We'd scaled to shipping 10,000 circuit boards monthly, supplying startups, riding Silicon Valley's tech wave. The 1980s were roaring: IBM PCs, Walkmans, a consumer boom, and we were part of it, our bank account finally black after years of scraping by. Success wasn't easy. Early orders bled us dry, forcing us to skip meals, sleep in the factory's back room, and dodge loan collectors. My limp worsened under the strain, but I refused to slow down. Phoebe and I argued over risks, her caution clashing with my stubborn drive, but we always reconciled, her laugh pulling us through. Felix was our anchor, fixing machines or cracking jokes to ease tension. His quiet gestures bringing me coffee, steadying me when I stumbled, grew harder to ignore. I caught myself watching him, his shy grin stirring something I hadn't felt since Jason's betrayal. But I pushed it aside. Our factory was my focus, not romance. One evening, as we locked up, two figures approached the factory gate, their faces shadowed under the sodium lights. Phoebe handed me their IDs, her voice low. "They're from your hometown." My heart sank. Jason Carter and Emily Larson. Jason, once handsome, was gaunt, his eyes dull, a decade older than his 29 years. No longer the dainty city girl, Emily was heavier, her face lined with bitterness. They were jobless, seeking work, and their volunteer program dreams were long dead. "Rachel." Jason stammered, recognizing me. "We need help!" Before I could respond, Emily lunged, her hands clawing at me. "You ruined my life!" she screamed, knocking me to the ground. "You stole my dance troupe spot, you spiteful bitch, Phoebe!" And Felix pulled her off, but Emily's words were venomous. "I drugged that bull in 78, hoping it'd kill you. You were competition for the Omaha troupe, but you survived and I lost everything." Her confession hit like a slap, confirming Dad's suspicions. Jason grabbed her arm, hissing, "Shut up, Emily!" But she shook him off, sobbing. "You made me marry you, trapped me in that godforsaken town." I stood, my cane steadying me, my voice cold. "You did this to yourself, Emily. And you, Jason, you broke my leg, left me for her. You don't get to beg now." Jason's eyes flashed with desperation. He grabbed a steel pipe from a scrap pile, swinging wildly. "You think you're better than me?" he shouted. Felix stepped in front, taking the blow to his shoulder, blood soaking his shirt. Phoebe screamed, "Call 911," as workers rushed to help. I dodged another swing, my arm scraping against the gate, pain flaring but adrenaline sharper. Factory hands tackled Jason, pinning him as sirens wailed. Police arrived, cuffing him and Emily, who was still ranting about her lost dreams. Felix, clutching his shoulder, managed a weak grin. "You okay, Rachel?" I nodded, my heart racing, not from fear but from the sight of his blood, his sacrifice. At the hospital, Felix was stitched up, and his injury was painful, but not critical. Phoebe paced, muttering, "That bastard's done for." I sat by Felix's bed, my hand brushing his. "You didn't have to do that," I said, voice soft. He shrugged, wincing. "Couldn't let him hurt you again." His eyes held mine, and I saw the steady love he'd shown since Lincoln in every fixed lamp, every protective step. My heart stirred, no longer afraid to name it. Police took our statements. Emily's confession to drugging the bull and Jason's assault guaranteed charges. As we left, I looked at Felix, his arm in a sling, and felt a shift. I wasn't just surviving, I was ready to build more than a factory. The hospital's antiseptic smell hit me as I sat by Felix Foster's bedside, the fluorescent lights casting sharp shadows on his pale face. It was late 1985, and Silicon Valley's pulse, its tech boom, its neon-lit ambition felt miles away. Felix's shoulder, bandaged from Jason Carter's pipe attack, rose and fell with his shallow breaths. He'd taken the blow meant for me, his lanky frame shielding me from the man who'd already broken my legs 7 years ago in Willow Creek. My arm stung from a scrape, but Felix's sacrifice cut deeper, stirring a warmth I'd buried since Jason's betrayal. Phoebe Foster, pacing the room, her blonde-streaked pixie cut disheveled, muttered, "That bastard's done for Rachel, he and that witch Emily." The police had hauled Jason and Emily away after the factory chaos, her screamed confession echoing. She'd drugged the bull in 78, hoping to kill me, her rival for the Omaha dance troupe. Jason's assault, swinging a pipe in a desperate rage, sealed their fate. I gave my statement to the officers, my voice steady despite the ache in my chest. "Emily admitted to animal cruelty," I said, leaning on my cane, my limp a constant reminder of that day. "Jason attacked us unprovoked. Check the factory's security tapes." The cop nodded, jotting notes. "We've got enough for charges. Carter's looking at assault, maybe 7 years. Larson's unstable, her confession's damning, but she's headed for a psychiatric evaluation." Felix stirred, his eyes fluttering open. "You okay, Rachel?" he rasped, his first thought for me despite his pain. I managed a smile, brushing his hand. "You're the one in a hospital bed, hero. Worry about yourself." Phoebe snorted, plopping into a chair. "My dumb cousin's been smitten with you since Lincoln, Rachel. Always jumping in front of trouble for you." Her grin softened the words, but they landed hard. Felix's quiet axe fixing dorm lamps carrying my books, now taking a hit, flashed through my mind. I'd felt the pull, but fear of another Jason had kept me guarded. Now, with his blood on my hands, I couldn't ignore it. Phoebe's right, I said softly, meeting Felix's gaze. I've seen everything you've done, Felix. I'm not blind. His cheeks flushed, a shy grin breaking through the pain. Just wanted you safe, he mumbled. Phoebe rolled her eyes, but her voice was gentle. Look, Rachel, no pressure. If you don't feel the same, tell him straight. Otherwise, he'll keep playing knight in shining armor. I nodded, my throat tight. I'll handle it right, I promised. Felix's hand squeezed mine, and I felt a shift. Not just gratitude, but something more profound, ready to bloom. Harper-Foster Electronics hummed back at the factory, our 50 workers unfazed by the drama. Phoebe rallied them, her HR skills keeping morale high, while I balanced the books, ensuring Tom Reed's next order shipped on time. But the attack lingered. I met with the police again, pushing for justice. Jason faced felony assault charges, his military academy dreams long dead, his future a cell. Emily, diagnosed with a mental disorder after her outburst, was committed to a state facility, her confession to animal cruelty, ensuring she'd stay there. Dad, now retired and living nearby in San Jose, visited the factory, and his mayor's swagger was replaced by pride. You're stronger than I ever was, he said, hugging me. Your mom would have loved this. I thought of Mom, her Omaha stories, her stubborn spark. I'd built this Life Factory Friends a future not because of Jason's lies, but despite them. Felix was released after a week, his arm in a sling, but his spirit intact. One evening, as we walked through the factory lot, the Silicon Valley skyline glittering, I stopped him. Felix, I said, my voice steady, I've been scared to trust again. But you're different. You've shown me what genuine care looks like. His eyes widened, then softened. I've loved you since Lincoln, Rachel. I'll wait as long as you need. I leaned in, kissing him softly, my cane steady against the pavement. It wasn't a firefly jar or a poem, it was real, solid mine. 5 years later, in 1990, Silicon Valley was a neon jungle, its factories and startups pulsing with the promise of the new decade. I stood in the heart of our empire, Harper-Foster Electronics, now a sprawling complex, shipping 100,000 circuit boards monthly to tech giants. At 32, I was Rachel Harper, CEO, my limp a badge of battles won. My husband Felix handled client relations, and his shy grin is now a trademark that sealed million-dollar deals. Our daughter Lily, 3 years old, toddled through our San Jose home, her laughter echoing as Dad retired and doting taught her to plant daisies in our backyard. Willow Creek was a distant memory, its pain. Jason's betrayal, Emily's cruelty buried under a life I'd built. Phoebe, our HR dynamo, ran our 200-strong workforce with her fierce charm, her pixie cut, now a sleek bob. She'd become my sister, not just my friend, pushing me to dream bigger. We'd weathered lean years, skipping meals to meet payroll, but now our factory thrived, a beacon for women workers we'd hired for their skill and grit. America's 1990s glittered CDs replacing tapes, the internet whispering on the horizon, and we were riding the wave, our brand synonymous with quality. One spring evening, Hannah Brooks and Jenny Walsh visited, and their arrival was a reunion of Willow Creek's rebels. Hannah, now a diner chain mogul, owned Rosie's in Lincoln, her fiery red hair tamed, but her spirit wild. Jenny, radiant, ran a beauty salon empire, her practical edge sharper than ever. They shared their triumphs over wine in my living room, Lily napping nearby. We left Willow Creek to avoid arranged marriages, Hannah said, grinning. Sent our first paychecks home, and suddenly our parents were cheering. Jenny smirked. Money talks right. They'd funded schools and libraries in Willow Creek, lifting girls like we'd once been. I'd done the same, pouring profits into scholarships for rural teens, paving roads where I'd once limped. Hannah raised her glass. To us, Riverdale's powerhouses. Jenny laughed, then leaned in, voice low. Heard about Jason and Emily? I nodded, covering Lily's ears. Letters from Willow Creek had trickled in. Jason, released from prison in '89, spiraled into addiction, his charm gone, his criminal record a shackle. Emily, confined to a psychiatric facility, had poisoned him in a final act of rage, then took her own life. Their story, once my nightmare, felt like a faded photograph. Karma, Jenny said, sipping her wine. I smiled, silent. Their downfall didn't heal my scars, but it closed a chapter. Felix joined us, his arm around me, his old sling a memory. Our wedding, a quiet ceremony in '86, had been a promise kept to build together, to trust. Lily was our joy, Her dark curls were like Mom's, and her giggle was a reminder of what mattered. Now gardening in our backyard, Dad had left Willow Creek's mayoral stress behind, and his pride in me was unspoken but clear. Hannah's diners funded education, Jenny's salons empowered women, my factory built futures. We'd turned pain into power not just for us, but for others. Standing in Silicon Valley's glow, I thought of 1978 when Jason's firefly jars had closed my eyes to his lies. I'd been a girl chasing love, not dreams. Now, with Felix's hand in mine, Lily's laughter in the air, and Phoebe's toast to the 1990s, to picking up gold from these streets, I saw it clearly. My dream wasn't a stage or a city. It was this, a life I'd forged unyielding with people who saw me as I was. We clinked glasses, the future bright, not because it was promised, but because we'd made it so.